You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
Stuff your sorries in a sack, mister.
I thought it was there.
I'm sorry!
Congratulations! You've unlocked All Apologies, a show about apology tours and demanding satisfaction. I'm your host, Andy Q. Public, and with me, as always, is your co-host, Joe Sixpack.
Guys, March 9th, you see it on my screen here underneath, March 9th at the Comedy at the Carlson. It is coming up quick. We're going to have Carl Hamburger. We're going to have Cardiff Electric. We're going to have Vinnie Paulino, Subreddit Surfing Live, Carl doing stand-up, Andy and I fucking our way through what we think is a show. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have a good time. That stuttering buttfuck is not going to be there, but we will still be talking about said buttfuck. It will still happen. We are going to have a blast. I encourage you to come because it's going to be great. So March 9th, get your tickets, Comedy at the Carlson in Rochester, New York. Come hang out. We're going to have a blast.
Yes, I know I know some people who are local that listen to this show, and if you're listening to this and you haven't got your tickets left yet, it's only 100. It's gonna sell out. So if you're thinking about coming, get your tickets now.
Not $100, 100 seats.
Did I say? All right, you're right.
You said it's only 100.
You're right.
You can pay me $100.
Yeah. But in the meantime,
Way to go, dude!
I wanted to take this opportunity on the main channel. We talked a little bit on the mini show that's only on Patreon, our roundup of the Instagram content of the week. It's all video footage. Everything that you're hearing right now, if you're listening, all has video clips that go hand in hand with the show. But that's only available on Patreon for $5 a month. You get a mini show every week. And in said mini show, we discussed John Anik and the MMA or the UFC fallout from his comments in the discussion on it and his podcast. And I just wanted to thank Leo and Coleman from the Instagram chat for kind of giving me a little more context about what that was all about. And we talked about that on the mini show, but I wanted to thank them on the show proper. I also wanted to give a shout out to L.A. Lee, who sent me a post that's also on the Instagram account about Nicola Sturgeon, who that if you don't follow the Instagram account, go find that comment or that post, because her comments about the other people that she works with, it's pretty fucking funny. That is another instance where I love it when the people I'm talking about are doing my job for me. There's just such a funny post. So I want to thank her for submitting that to the show. And if anybody else ever wants to submit any news bits for the Instagram, you can DM me that, or just hit me up in the comments on Instagram, and we're having a good time over there. So thanks to those three.
I would really love to hear more, personal kind of trials and tribulations or whatever. Andy, I will weigh in with this. I want to demand an apology from the stupid fucking automotive industry. It used to be one of the only car repairs that I could actually do was changing an alternator. I could change the alternator, I could change the starter, I could change the battery, I could do these things. Now with this fucking stupid function where you hit the brake and your car just stops, my fucking alternator costs anywhere from $700 to $1,000 fucking dollars now. You used to be able to get like an alternator for back in my day when I was walking uphill both ways to school. You could get an alternator for like $40 and drop it into your car and do it all your fucking self if you had a brain in your head. Now you need like 10 fucking AI computers just to change your alternator, and it costs you $1 billion fucking more times than it used to. So fuck everyone.
Why you bringing up old shit?
Crazy ass cracker.
Well, that's relevant. If I was on Paco's show, I would say that is relatable and significant to me. No, I can't remember what he says. Is it relatable to you? It is relatable to me. So shout out to Paco. Why don't you take us to the main featured segment of the show, though? This week on All Apologies, we're gonna get back to focusing on instead of Joe and I sort of competing for bring our own packages of apologies. We're teaming up and drilling down on one jerk off, and that jerk off is Jimmy Kimmel. Now, Jimmy Kimmel is the host of Jimmy Kimmel Live, formerly the host of Win Ben Stein's Money, then went on to co-host The Man Show with Adam Carolla. He's Howard Stern's best friend, and they've both been trying to walk back all of their old egregious jokes that they've made in the past. And Jimmy's starts with being, it's not even blackface. On The Man Show, it's black body. He's completely just transformed himself into Karl Malone, and this footage has come back to haunt Jimmy Kimmel. Let's check that out.
Sometime at night, Karl Malone look up in sky and say, "What the hell going on up there? Do UFO live on other planet, phoning home like ET?" Karl Malone read on TV about white people getting deducted by alien, sticking all kind of hell up their butt, and that's a damn thing. Now, Karl Malone never seen no flying saucer himself, but if he do, that's gonna be a spooky time. That's why Karl Malone say government got to step up and give 102% to keeping them little green man off this here earth. Because the day them dudes stick something up Karl Malone butt, that ain't gonna be no good time for nobody, especially Karl Malone butt. Listen up, ET. You better stay the hell back. Nanu, nanu. Until next time, this here Karl Malone.
And that was a reoccurring bit on The Man Show.
Hilarious.
You could hear that the audience was primarily white because they weren't clapping in time. It was all on the two. So, but it's not enough to to highlight the fact that Karl Malone is only good at basketball. He's not good at thinking or talking. We have to have a white guy dress up as a black guy and do a bit that if Chris Rock did it would be the funniest thing that ever happened. But since a white guy did it to a black guy, then he has to have his career taken away.
Well, I heard it was like a radio bit originally, and that was him just doing that voice, which is funny. The voice is the funny part, right? But then making that visual is, a big fucking mistake, basically.
Yeah. Well, it was such a big mistake that Jimmy Kimmel then had to issue an apology. This is a clip it from Inside Edition of Jimmy Kimmel's apology.
There's nothing more important to me than your respect, and I apologize to those who were genuinely hurt or offended by the makeup I wore or the words I spoke.
Unfortunately for Jimmy, that wasn't the last time that he offended the black community. This time, however, it would be a far less direct, but offense. But that's not going to stop woke culture from coming down on Jimmy Kimmel. He was hosting the Emmys in this next one, but what he did was offend the woman. What's her name? Quinta Brunson, who is the creator of Abbott Elementary. So Quinta Brunson
created it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she wins an Emmy for creating that show, and she comes up on stage, and he's doing a bit that centers around the fact that he was nominated for an Emmy himself. He's hosting the show, but he's also nominated, and John Oliver won instead of Jimmy Kimmel Live. So that's being played to comedic effect. The bit is that he's so upset that he lost that he's blackout drunk and just passed out on the stage. And instead of ending the bit and just getting up and getting off the stage before this woman wins her award, he's just laying on the stage while she is giving her acceptance speech. And the black community deemed that Jimmy Kimmel was trying to silence black excellence because he was doing a bit that ranged over multiple segments of the show. From like when he lost to beyond this offensive act of laying on the stage seemingly unconscious. It's racist. And he had to have
how many how many awards were given out over his immobile body laying on the ground?
Yeah, I think that's part of what the problem was.
Or only the black one. The single black award that was given out, he decided that it wasn't important enough for him to get up and move. Is this what it is? Or did Tina Fey win for Kimmy Schmidt or whatever the fuck's they're giving Emmys for these days? I don't even know what's going on. Did a white woman also get disrespected here? How many people were disrespected? We don't know.
That's a fair question to ask, and we'll get to a little bit of an answer for that. But before we do, Jimmy Kimmel had Quinta Brunson on Jimmy Kimmel Live so that she could have more of a moment. She came out, she brought her Emmy out and did her acceptance speech, which is entertaining to nobody. Like, wow, I'm watching her do her acceptance speech after the fact. But he did have her on as a guest and issued her a genuine apology in the Abbott apology clip, Ed.
That was a dumb comedy bit that we thought it would be funny. I lost, and then I drank too much, and I had to be dragged out on the stage. And then people got upset. They said I stole your moment, and maybe I did, and I'm very sorry if I did do that. I'm sorry I did do that, actually.
So
Jimmy punched him in the face. She should have slapped him on stage.
Yeah, she could have made it funny. You're a comedy writer. Do something funny for fuck's sake. Instead, Jimmy Kimmel has to get taken to task. And I mean, I'm not trying to sit here and defend Jimmy Kimmel. I have nothing for Jimmy Kimmel. I think that he used to be funny, and he's just progressively got less and less funny.
Well,
and that's going to be highlighted in a minute.
Failed bits are forgivable, right? I mean, he was trying. It wasn't funny. It didn't work. Some people were offended. That's okay, but you apologize for lack of effort, not for trying and failing. Like just because it didn't work out right.
Well, not so fast, Joe, because
suck my dick.
Jimmy distracted from Quinta's award, and anybody that's ever seen Abbott Elementary knows that it's the greatest thing since Chappelle's Show, right? If we're gonna feature black excellence, it's Chappelle's Show and Abbott Elementary. Everybody knows it's such a great fucking show.
I was watching The Neighborhood, and I think Cedric the Entertainer got snubbed.
Yeah, right. So he didn't even really do anything to her except lay there while she accepted a trophy that nobody fucking cares about. Right. But that's grounds to whatever, start a race war. But as opposed to the segment that led up to this, like where he lost and he made himself the butt of the joke. And this is Jimmy Kimmel, bending over and taking it up the ass for this bit. And when he does it, when it's happening to him, comedy gold. When he's doing it to a black lady, worst thing he's ever done in his whole career. But let's take a look at this. Matt Damon used to be like a running gag on Jimmy Kimmel's show. It'd be like, oh, sorry, we bumped Matt Damon. That was like a long running bit. So this is Matt Damon coming out and rubbing salt in the wound with Jimmy Kimmel.
Help you? What do you want?
Just calm down, man. I missed the last category. Did you win?
No, we didn't win, all right? And
Oh, that's a bummer.
the Emmy for direct...
No, it makes a lot of sense, but you must be really bummed out.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. Thank you.
So you're not going to get a trophy.
No, I don't get a trophy then. Are you finished? You done?
Wait, who did get a trophy? Who won?
John Oliver, he was just out here. What do you mean who won?
Yes. They know. I knew. I had him in my pool.
Do you mind if I continue with the show?
No, I mean, oh, I'm sorry. What am I doing? This is so humiliating. I'm sorry. I mean, you lost, and now you got to stand out here for the rest of the night in front of everybody. That's really... No, I mean, when you probably just want to go home and curl up and cry. I'm sorry, but hey, can we cheer Jimmy up? How about, he's a big loser. Big round of applause for him.
No.
Big loser.
No, I don't want a big round of applause. I don't need pity applause.
No,
You're not a big loser.
You're a pretty big loser. You're a pretty big, and I, for one, I'm sorry about that. And I think everybody else here feels really sorry for you. Come here.
So you saw Anthony Anderson and Chris Rock cracking up at how funny it was that
Jerry Seinfeld thought it was funny.
Jimmy, yeah.
I mean, it is funny, like throwing somebody's failure in their face. Yeah, throwing somebody's failure in their face publicly is funny.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, you know, when it's a white guy shitting on another white guy, setting up a long running bit that's going to extend over the next several minutes of this show.
Mm-hmm.
So funny. The minute a black woman steps on the stage and a white guy is laying there prone, that Jimmy Kimmel better go on a fucking apology tour.
Good point.
But
I mean, it wasn't. I wasn't like, guffawing like Jerry Seinfeld was, but it is kind of funny, like just to watch.
It's the funniest thing that happened at the Emmys.
What?
It was the funniest thing that happened during the Emmys that year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a testament to how stupid the fucking Emmys are. Yeah. Anyway, that's just sort of the history that Jimmy Kimmel has with apology tours. What we're really going to talk about is the conflict that he currently has with Aaron Rodgers. And Joe has been nice enough to put together a package of that.
Yeah, so Aaron Rodgers was a regular guest on the Pat McAfee show. If you don't know who Pat McAfee is, Wikipedia defines Pat McAfee as an American sports analyst, professional wrestling color commentator, as well as a former football punter. He probably has the most, I would say, respected sports show today. There's a lot of people, obviously Stephen A. Smith and some others that you can mention that are notable sports commentators. I think Pat McAfee has like the cool guy show right now. Okay. When ESPN picked him up, it was just a YouTube show. And now ESPN picked it up. Right. So, I mean, right there you have a big thing. And then he's commentating for the WWE, periodically getting power bombed through a table or something like that.
Ed and I were watching footage of Steve Austin giving him a stone cold stunner after they pound 6 beers, and then Steve Austin kicks him in the nuts. It's pretty great.
Yeah, and it truly is like a hang, as much as we like make fun of those kind of shows. But they're doing like a 3-hour, 3.5-hour show, and it goes all over the place. So Aaron Rodgers does, do you say it's too much?
That's too long of a show.
Too long of a show. Yeah, it's pretty long. And this might be an example of why it's too long. Aaron Rodgers does a fairly regular segment on it now that he, blew out his Achilles trying to be a quarterback when he's
a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah, he has a lot of time on his hands. So he'll go on Pat McAfee's show a lot. Let's see here. In our first clip, Pat McAfee. So Aaron Rodgers goes on and he makes a statement. We're going to get into the whole story here, but Jimmy Kimmel and Aaron Rodgers don't get along. They don't. They just, it's oil and water. They don't mix. And Pat McAfee's kind of stuck in the middle. So we're going to start off with Pat McAfee addressing these issues. So Pat McAfee is just going to distance himself from this real quick.
But I can see exactly why Jimmy Kimmel felt the way he felt, especially with his position. But I think Aaron was just trying to talk shit. Now, did it go too far? And a lot of people, Jimmy Kimmel certainly said that was the case. We and I immediately upon it happening, trying to be like, ooh, you know. But that is Aaron and Jimmy. They've been
jousting a bit.
I don't know, you know. So like, we obviously don't like the fact that we're associated with anything negative ever.
You know, who wants to be associated with it? Everybody needs to be on the most positive fucking show. So Pat McAfee is like, yeah, my first initial P, that stands for Paul, and this is between y'all. Leave me the fuck out of it, all right? And I believe Jimmy Kimmel is on ABC, and Pat McAfee is on ESPN. So those are both Disney-owned properties there. So
Play nice, kids.
The mouse is like, sort it the fuck out. In the next clip here, Pat's going to lock these two in a closet until they become best friends.
We like our show to be an uplifting one, a happy one, a fun one, but it's because we talk shit and try to make light of everything. Some things, obviously, people get very pissed off about, especially when they're that serious allegations. So we apologize for being a part of it. Can't wait to hear what Aaron has to say about it. Hopefully those two will just be able to settle this, you know, not court-wise, but be able to chit-chat, move along. Because remember, you're allowed to disagree with people's opinions. You're allowed to say like, oh, I don't, you sound dumb. The more and more you talk, you sound dumber and dumber. And then you're allowed to just move on.
Yeah. So there's the apology. That's actually the only apology we're going to get out of the three people we're going to talk to today. That's the only real apology that you get out of Pat McAfee, saying sorry for our involvement in this. Jimmy Kimmel is demanding apologies. So we'll get to that part of it. So it's not like devoid of apologies. This is all apologies after all. So
is it too soon to start talking about what they're apologizing about? You want to slow roll this?
I would, yeah. I mean, I think slow rolling it is good, or maybe we could say, so it's a misunderstanding in my estimation, but it's hard for until we get into those clips. In theory, or ostensibly, Jimmy Kimmel says that Aaron Rodgers insinuated that he was a pedophile. So it's not even like Aaron Rodgers didn't even go, Jimmy Kimmel's a pedophile. Right. That's not what happened. Okay.
We've discussed it on the show.
What's that?
We've discussed this on the show already.
Yeah, I think we have, but we're going to get to see like the real, like what was actually said and the spin. That's what's interesting about this is there is evidence of it. And what we get to see here is how both sides spin it, or I would more say how Jimmy Kimmel chose to spin it. This is very stuttering John of Jimmy Kimmel to be like, I heard you said, Joey C told me that you, Pat M said that you said.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee is saying, you know who talks the most shit? Comedians and athletes. So what the fuck are we doing here? Well, and why does every show have to be happy and positive and uplifting? We like to talk shit. Yeah, we like to talking shit is fun. Talking shit to your friends is fun. Talking shit to people who know what talking shit is about is fun. And if there's two groups of people that you should be able to, Jimmy Kimmel is flashing back to when Aaron Rodgers-esque person stuffed him in a locker way back when, and he's having decades old trauma over it. So in our next clip here, Pat's like, keep your head down and on a swivel when you're in a football locker room.
But then whenever you get dropped into a football locker room, you realize quickly, there's a guy from Compton here, and there's a guy who grew up with $100 million right there. There's a guy from South Florida here, and then there's a white trash guy from the hills of West Virginia or North Carolina in here. Do you think they're all going to have the same views on life? No, they came up in much different backgrounds. They have much different people influencing their thoughts and opinions and reasoning for why they feel the way they feel. But whenever you get in that locker room, talk, you're an idiot, you're dumb, we move forward, we got to win a game.
Yeah, so Pat's all
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.
That's how it goes in a football locker room.
A little
Okay?
Neil Brennan cameo in there.
Yeah, Neil Brennan. Yeah. KB, Kevin Brennan's brother there in the clip. So in the last Pat McAfee clip here, Pat understands what's going on.
With all that being said, can understand why Jimmy got incredibly pissed.
Yeah, definitely.
Completely understand that, especially with his position. But also, I think Aaron is like, hey, this guy has said some stuff about me, in his monologue. He's just trying to talk. I don't think he meant anything else, but he's going to have to clarify that.
That's bullshit. I'm sorry to step on your package, but Jimmy Kimmel is a comedian. And this is the least comedic approach to handling this situation. This is the take I already talked about on this show. As a comedian, when somebody says something like this about you, you need to make it funny, not go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, I don't want to, I want to get more into the details of it, but to say that he's handling it right or you understand why he's reacting this way is wrong. The way he's reacting is wrong.
Yeah. Right. What he and Jimmy Kimmel is the next package coming up here. But I would say from what Pat McAfee says there is this actually doesn't need an explanation at all, right? It's that these guys don't like each other and they talk shit on each other. It actually couldn't be simpler. They just don't really like each other and talk shit about each other in whatever way their platforms will allow, right? So it's just stupid for the most part. Like all of this is very, very dumb.
Including us talking about it.
Including this next package with Jimmy Kimmel going out on his show and going, hey, have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
Did you hear this story about me and Aaron Rodgers, the former quarterback for the Packers? All right. So what happened is he's a Jets quarterback now. He went on a show on ESPN, the Pat McAfee show, and out of the blue insinuated that I was nervous because the Jeffrey Epstien list was coming out. He said I was hoping it wouldn't and that he was going to pop a bottle of something to celebrate.
Right. So he insinuated. Well, there's your problem. He insinuated. We can insinuate anything. That's not a fact. That it wasn't something that was actually said. What other people, may take from those comments, that's not here or there. And it also doesn't really have anything to do with it. He didn't say Jimmy Kimmel's a pedophile. He said, well, we'll get to it. We're gonna actually get to the real thing. But what I want,
I'm sorry, Joe. Insinuating is code for joke that I didn't think was funny, right? If he said, "Oh, he made a joke about me that I didn't like," that's the way that you deal with a comment that you knew wasn't serious, instead of saying that he insinuated that I was
Chillamo.
Yeah. Well, insinuated to me means, because you have to read between the lines with virtually every single piece of media or information that you get these days and really examine the verbiage that is used. If you say he insinuated it, that means he didn't say it. He did not say that. Okay. So in clip 2 here, Jimmy starts talking to the audience like when he had to explain this to his wife. This is very nervous husband energy here.
And then it did come out. And of course, my name wasn't on it and isn't on it and won't ever be on. I don't know Jeffrey Epstein. I've never met Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not on a list. I was not on a plane or an island or anything ever. And I suggested that if Aaron wanted to make false and very damaging statements like that we should do it in court so he could share his proof with like a judge.
Yeah. I never knew Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein only invited cool people that he could compromise and blackmail. I'm not even cool. So this is clearly a lie. You know, I wasn't there, honey. I didn't do this. You know,
What a hilarious
shit to his wife about knowing Jeffrey Epstein.
What a hilarious monologue. I'm so glad I flew to LA and got tickets to the Jimmy Kimmel live show so I could watch little Saint Jimmy claim that he never knew Jeffrey Epstein.
I'd like to correct you just a little bit. I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard when somebody from the Jimmy Kimmel show approached me and said, "Would you like to be in a TV audience today? It's free." That's what happened. Nobody booked a ticket on a plane and said, "I'm going to see Jimmy Kimmel." I don't think that ever happened. But also, the thing that really bothers me is the last part of that clip where he's just like, well, if you want to make those disparaging comments, I suggested that maybe we should do it in court so he could present his evidence to a judge. Oh, really? Oh, back in high school, Jimmy said, well, bullies, if you're going to beat me up, I suggest we can do it in the nurse's office so I can have immediate medical attention. That's never going to happen, dude. What are you talking about? You sound like Jerry Lundegaard in Fargo. It was just ask Stan Grossman. He'll tell you. He'll tell you I'm not a pedophile. Okay. What are you talking? None of this is happening. None of it happened, and none of it's happening. He has a captive audience of people that are on his side, and he's choosing to spin this any way he wants. You know, or his, staff and his management and his lawyers say, go say this, because this is a non-thing. The less you talk about it, the sooner it'll go away.
Right.
So
I want to see the court case where Aaron Rodgers shows up to defend these comments, and he's like, "Oh, allow me to present Exhibit A," and he pulls a rubber chicken out of a briefcase, puts an arrow through his head thing like Steve Martin on. It's like, it was a fucking joke, asshole.
He squirts the judge with his squirty flower. In this next clip, here is some of the history between Jimmy and Aaron.
Needless to say, all this UFO talk has the tinfoil hatters going wild, including Green Bay whackpacker Aaron Rodgers, who offered this hot take on the Pat McAfee show.
I believe that this has been going on for a long time. Interesting timing on everything. Did you hear about the Epstein client list about to be released too? There's some files that have some names on it that might be getting released pretty soon.
Oh. Might be time to revisit that concussion protocol, Aaron.
Completely unprovoked, Jimmy just needs something to talk about and proceeds to shit on Aaron Rodgers, extensively. Not just like one comment of he's a fucking idiot. It was like multiple comments. And I'm sure there's other instances of this happening where he's just like, he's a whackpacker. He's former, started like everything, tinfoil hat guy, multiple insults to him right in there, fairly benign, it's not like he called him a fuckhead or something like that, but
it is Jimmy Kimmel Live, so all the jokes are going to be benign.
Yeah, exactly. But what bothers me, especially about that clip there that he's talking about, he didn't say, first they start talking about, they're talking about the aliens and stuff. So he didn't say anything absurd. He, like Hangar 18, Area 51, Roswell, like these are all things that have been in the public zeitgeist since the 50s, right? We've been talking about this for decades now. So
also proven to be true.
Right. Well, and that's kind of what he's saying. He's like, I've suspected this, or, there's been evidence of some type that the government has been denying for years. And now, for whatever, it's either been declassified or there's now so much evidence that people are seeing that, they come out and say, and also what unidentified flying object, they can mean anything. It means we don't know what it is. It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean aliens. It means unidentified. But Yeah, this media circus and the nefarious political moves that seem to occur, like, we just talked about Janet Jackson, right? And the wardrobe malfunction. I'm pretty sure that was right at the beginning of like the Gulf War or some major military operation that was occurring. It was like, in my perspective, a distraction. There's some huge media circus distraction while something very serious is occurring. It's fucking look at the birdie, look over here. It's a misdirection tactic. If you give a shit, go look up the timing of when a military action and the wardrobe malfunction occurred.
Yeah.
There's a correlation. So he said that. He said, yeah, there's talk of aliens. Yeah, is it so beyond the pale for me to say that this is a distraction from this? No, that's not ridiculous either. Ed says this all happened in 2004. So I don't know what that. We'll have to look at the history. Go fact check that. And then also, here we are now. There is a list, right? So it's not. He did not say anything absurd, but Jimmy Kimmel is out there calling him a fucking crackpot. So it's insulting. You know, we like to sit around and call people pedophiles and, you know, assholes and shit like that. That might be insulting to people, or just you're having your credibility taken to task is insulting to people. So Aaron Rodgers was insulted by it, even how benign it might be, but he handles it a little bit better, I would say. In our next clip, here's Jimmy being so fucking smug.
We learned during COVID, somehow he knows more about science than scientists. A guy who went to community college, then got into Cal on a football scholarship and didn't graduate, someone who never spent a minute studying the human body, is an expert in the field of immunology.
So, Andy, I have a lot to say on this. Do you have a take on that before I go off here?
Sure. Of course I have a take on that. A professional athlete didn't want to put an unproven concoction into his body, and I don't have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with the fact that it came out later that they were rushing the shit to market, and they were doing that because they were trying to achieve this herd immunity thing. You know, they want everybody to get it so that we can all get back to normal. And there wasn't enough testing on it. And it's been proven that that's fact. And that doctors now say that it wasn't ready and it didn't work right. And they were just rushing it to the market so that everybody could get their lives back. And people that weren't on board with that, you know, probably had a better head on their shoulders. That if you had an opportunity to do that. A lot of people didn't have that opportunity. A lot of people had loved ones that they were concerned about, so they wanted to get it as soon as they could. Other people had careers that they were more worried about, and they didn't want to put some fucking weird shit into their body. So you have to make the choice that was best for you. And the choice, mostly, it was to try and get your career and your job back on track. And I think that
these fucking kids out of my house and back to school.
Yeah. So that's my take on it. But now the doc, when you say, should I get my COVID booster? They're like, don't even worry about it. Don't bother.
Right.
That's where we're at now.
Yeah. To your point, I would say all at the time, this was akin to getting injected with saline and just getting public buy-in and agreement that we've done all we can. Right. And we're trying to get back to normal. Did the vaccine do anything? Who the fuck knows? It made me feel like shit for a day. Does that mean it was effective against fighting a global pandemic? Who knows? It's over. Let's move on. Anyway, the real thing that I have an issue with is you don't have to be an expert in immunology. Do not trust the government or the media. It really doesn't have anything to do with the efficacy of the vaccine or anything. It's that, the government's telling me I should do it. Well, I don't want to. If that's the benchmark, that's not what I want to do. Also, I'm guessing that a guy who was once probably the most physically fit individual on the planet, knows just a little bit about taking care of yourself and staying healthy and keeping your body in peak physical condition. So is he an immunologist? No. Has he talked to countless doctors, dietitians, physical therapists, and medical staff over his storied career as a champion? Probably more than Jimmy Kimmel and the one fucking doctor he talked to one time who said, yeah, you should take it.
Yeah,
I
Howard
would say
Stern's doctor.
Yeah, he's not an immunologist, but he's talked to a team, multiple teams of medical professionals about how to keep your body healthy. So, yeah, I wouldn't just write off anything he says as completely retarded. In our next Jimmy Kimmel clip, Mr. Smart Guy says, the truth still matters.
Because the truth still matters. And when I do get something wrong, which happens on rare occasions, you know what I do? I apologize for it, which is what Aaron Rodgers should do, which is what a decent person would do, but I bet he won't. If he does, you know what I'll do? I'll accept his apology and move on. But he probably won't do that. My guess is he won't apologize. I hope I'm wrong. That's how I think it will go.
If he prostrates himself before me and grovels at the behest of his superiors, we may bestow him with pop star pussy and Pfizer vaccines. Great. Thanks. Thanks for your stamp of approval, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Dickhead.
Fuck him. He's such a dick. He's such an unfunny, pompous ass now. It's so weird how just a little bit of fame and money will turn you into from a party guy that everybody likes into a dick that nobody can stand anymore.
I really do think the unsaid thing here is that he had to explain to his wife that he was not on Little St. James, like that she didn't believe it.
Fair enough.
So, like, I'll sue you. I'll sue everybody just to prove I didn't have sex with underage girls. This is my last Jimmy clip. I called this clip, if this is true, our show's in a lot of trouble, Andy.
If you are a member of a group that think it's okay to randomly call someone a child molester because you don't like what that person has to say, maybe you should rethink being a part of that group.
That group is everyone I'm friends with. I call Andy a child molester every day. What's Jimmy Kimmel talking about? It's my go-to shit on someone. Nice mustache. You look like a pedophile. It's really low-hanging fruit. Everyone does it.
Yeah. If anything, it means Aaron Rodgers is a hack.
Yeah, right. No, but that's the most. That's why Jimmy Kimmel is losing at this. Funny guy stops being funny is the headline here. Right? Funny guy has no idea how to react to criticism. That's pathetic. Moving on to Aaron Rodgers' side. That's what's great about this one because it's current. We have 3 sides to this story, which is great. So Aaron Rodgers is back on Pat McAfee. I don't know if if they've cut ties at this point. I think I don't know if it's true. Last I saw was that essentially Aaron Rodgers won't be on Pat McAfee anymore. Who the fuck knows? But in this first clip from Aaron Rodgers, let's get Aaron's perspective.
So in my opinion, he ripped me about the vax, and that turns out to be an L on many occasions because the vax was not safe and effective like we were told that it was in the beginning. There are a lot of injuries now that we've seen related to the vaccine. So in my opinion, you went after me. That's fine. You're a comedian. Go for it. Not offended, but that was an L.
That's an L. If you don't know, if you're my mother, an L is a loss. You lose. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You released COVID from Wuhan. Good day, sir. Aaron Rodgers says that's an L. Okay. So in clip 2, Aaron is excited about exposing corruption.
We're talking on our show, as we do, about a lot of different topics. Somehow the Epstein client list comes up. But we said there's an excitement to expose corruption. And what I joked about the other day about popping a bottle, there's excitement about when the corruption anywhere gets exposed and people who are accused of these heinous crimes get exposed. That will be nice.
That will be nice, Aaron.
Yeah.
You know what? My phone is nice. Taco Bell is nice. I don't know if I would describe exposing pedophiles as nice.
Right.
Yo, Aaron, did you hear, brah? We exposed those pedos today. Oh, yeah? Nice.
I do wish there was a little more meat on the bone with Ghislaine Maxwell, though. What the fuck is going on with that?
I mean, good question. There was a trial for her, but
Yeah, I just wanted to
I
see
don't know
her
what ended up happening. She's got from generational wealth too, so who knows how she bought her way out of it or whatever. She, for all we know, she's the one that had Epstein killed in prison. I mean, I don't know. In clip 3, quoteth Aaron.
And then unprompted, he comes out and says that I'm an overly concussed wacko. In my opinion, it seemed like, because I believe that there was a list, then we fast forward to this last week. A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't come out. End quote. That's what I said. That's the entire quote.
So you didn't call Jimmy Kimmel a big stupid idiot that doesn't know his dick from a doorknob? I thought this was a feud.
Yeah. This isn't funny.
It's either stupid or brilliant. Aaron Rodgers is essentially saying that the most embarrassing thing for Jimmy Kimmel is if he's simply wrong about there being an Epstein client list. Like, Jimmy calls him the meanest shit that he can think of, and Aaron's like, "But what if you're wrong, Jimmy?" And that's like devastating to Jimmy Kimmel. Apparently, you might be wrong. Ed's got a comment.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention that on his highlight here of Aaron Rodgers, it says he's a Super Bowl champion, a 4-time MVP, and a ayahuasca enthusiast.
Oh, is that? I didn't know what that word.
That's my favorite thing about all of this.
I think Jordan Poyer went on and on about Aaron Rodgers introducing him to ayahuasca and how it changed his life. So
I didn't know. I didn't know that's how you spell ayahuasca. That's my problem.
What is it? Is it AA like Aaron Rodgers? It's spelled with 2 A's. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, I think the real problem with Aaron Rodgers is that his backgrounds keep changing and his green screen is like zip tied together panels right now. You've got a lot of fucking money. I think you can do better.
It's kind of like how Joe was going to do his.
Yeah.
I was never going to do that. That's what Andy wanted me to do.
He's having stuttering John level green screen problems.
Aaron Rodgers at least tried harder than that. He needs an apology room. You need your blank guest room with nothing on the walls. In our next clip here, Aaron says, look at the scoreboard.
If there is a list, which again, this hasn't come out yet, this was just a deposition, right? And there are names on it, then that would be the second time that a soft brain, junior college student, wacko, anti-vax, anti-Semite, purveyor, spreader of misinformation, conspiracy theorist, MAGA, whatever other things have been said by him and other people in the media would be right twice.
You've been beat, well, not once, but twice by a slow, white, geeky chump.
Slow, white, geeky, junior college. That's the thing that's one of the things that I dislike the most about Jimmy Kimmel in this, being reductive about Aaron Rodgers' education. Like, he's uninformed. Aaron Rodgers is uninformed. He's ignorant because he only went to junior college and then was drafted into the NFL before he had to finish college. So that makes him an idiot.
I never saw Jimmy Kimmel host Jeopardy. Aaron Rodgers won Celebrity Jeopardy, and they tapped him to host it when Alex Trebek died. They did that for a reason. It's not because he's a fucking idiot.
Right. With Jimmy Kimmel will have you think that it is. Now, in this next clip, Aaron understands.
That is the truth, number one. Number two, I totally understand how serious an allegation of pedophilia would be. So for him to be upset about that, I get it. Did you watch the quote? Because that's exactly what I said. Verbatim what I said on the show. I'm not stupid enough, even though you think I'm an idiot, and you made a lot of comments about my intelligence. I'm not stupid enough to accuse you of that with absolutely zero evidence, concrete evidence. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I believe him.
The Epstein list that came out?
Feels like
That's supposed to be coming out soon. That's supposed to be coming out soon.
Look, this guy's been
There's
waiting
a
in
lot
his
of
wine
people-
cellar.
Yeah.
I've been waiting in my wine cellar for this thing.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
To me, sorry, Joe. To me, that is more a slam on the fact that for months, Jimmy Kimmel has been saying he's a crackpot for thinking there's a list at all. He's not saying that Jimmy Kimmel is on the list. He's just saying there is a fucking list. Dick.
Exactly. And so Jimmy Kimmel took it as, oh, Jimmy Kimmel's nervous about that list coming out. And Jimmy Kimmel or everybody jumped to the conclusion that Jimmy Kimmel's nervous that the list is coming out because he's on it. That's not what he said. That's not what it's ever been about. It's been about the fact that you've been questioning Aaron Rodgers, whatever, sources or the thought that a list even existed. And that's why it's a fucking problem.
Right.
So, yeah, he's just saying that it would prove this wacky nut job was right. That's all he's saying. Aaron Rodgers doesn't think about Jimmy Kimmel at all, ever. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel is clutching his pearls and getting ready to blame this whole incident for the steady decline in his ratings and why nobody cares about late night TV anymore. It's because they think I'm a pedophile. No, it's because your show sucks. Like the major releases in the box office are halved this year because nobody gives a shit anymore. I mean, I care. I can't get out to the fucking movies anyway, but if I could, there's nothing for me to see anymore because nobody cares about this shit. Nobody cares about fucking Disney and Marvel movies anymore because they all blow. Because Disney's ruining everything. They're ruining Jimmy Kimmel's show. Well, he's probably ruining it more than they are, but they're ruining everything. They're freaking. They can't get out of their own fucking way. Anyway,
This is the game plan of the media, and this is what they do. They try and cancel the censorship, using the government to try and censor people that happened. And if that doesn't work, then they go to name calling. I mentioned a lot of the names that I've been called. I'm not anti-vax. I'm interested in informed consent and things that are in the best interest of my body. I'm not a MAGA. I've never had any affiliation with anybody associated with that movement, which is okay if you are, though. Like, there's different opinions all over the place, right? If you're that's your ideology, that's fine. I'm not a super political person.
I don't know. Your voice is going up a little there, Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron's like, hey, go change your gender and vape with a baby. Oh, this is America. You can do anything you want. You know, whatever. Doesn't matter. And we're getting close to the end here. In this next clip, more name calling.
Conspiracy theorists, that's fine. Because if you look at the track record of conspiracy theorists in the last few years, they've been right about a lot of things. So I don't care about that one. Anti-Semite, that was called, I mean, that's just like, this is their game plan. They use these words to cancel people, and they went and ran with this because it's the crazy anti-vaxxer wacko again, talking about, accusing somebody of being a pedophile. Like, of course, this is the game plan that they use. Incorrect?
But you don't believe in any conspiracy theory? You just think the government's just batting 1,000 and telling us the whole truth? That's a strong stance to take. Our government is placed in charge of all of its people. I'm a father who's been placed in charge of just one son. And I lie to that nigga all the time.
Ron Funch is like nailing conspiracy theories. It's just like you can't believe everything, you know. Like there's people they're managing a population here, you know. So yeah, Ron Funch has never nailed anything more accurately than that right there. Let's have Aaron's going to put this to bed.
You know, I think it's impressive that a man who went to Arizona State and has 10 joke writers can read off a prompter. So, you know, my education at JUCO and my 3 semesters at Cal that I'm very proud of has worked out for me, and I'm glad to see it's worked out for him as well. So I wish him the best. Again, I don't give a shit what he says about me.
Yeah, that seems like it's over. Aaron had to get back to banging some hippie chick and spending his well-earned New York Jets paycheck.
Yeah.
You can see Pat McAfee. Yeah, you can see Pat McAfee rubbing his eyes, going, "What are you doing?" You know. But also, once again, Pat McAfee has one of the most popular shows on the internet and TV right now. So, if you're on that platform, that speaks a lot louder than somebody who's talking to, you know, a bunch of widows at 11:30 at night, you know, every day.
Who are you gonna believe?
Yeah, who are you gonna believe? So Jimmy Kimmel's a little baby who can't even do what he's put on this planet to do, which is be funny, and he can't somehow manage that. So that's my take on this.
Yeah, maybe get some writers to write you a joke so you can have a battle of wits with Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
I don't want to defend the Jets, but I'm team Rodgers on this one.
For sure. I mean, it just comes down to kind of like common sense. And if you bother to listen to the statement or understand the context in which it was all discussed, there's really no misunderstanding of it.
Right.
It was really about being right and wrong about the existence of a list, not about Jimmy Kimmel being a pedophile. And
Yeah.
for him to be like, let's fight in the principal's office about it, you just seem like a whiny baby that can't handle anything.
Super weak.
Yep.
He's being mid, bro.
Yeah, why are you being mid, bro?
Why are you being mid, bro? So I guess with that, we could say that Jimmy, well, there's no apologies here. This is just these two guys demanding
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Now, fuck that. Fuck you. Fuck that. Look at him. He's nothing, guys. Piece of shit.
And I will say that I was not very familiar with Pat McAfee before this, and he was the only person that introduced an apology into this back half of the show. And I gotta say, I like him a lot more based on the drinking beer with Steve Austin and getting stunned and all of these the context that he's involved with this. I like Pat McAfee.
Pat McAfee is America's sweetheart right now.
Yeah.
Where he signed his ESPN deal, you know, that's akin to Joe Rogan going to Spotify, basically, or just like recognition wise. He so I would say last year might have been the year of Pat McAfee, but he's still going strong, only getting better. One of the premier platforms to be featured on, really.
Terrific. Well, shout out Pat McAfee.
Pat McAfee, go look for that all apologies bump, Pat McAfee.
Well, let's back up to the apology. Do we accept or reject Jimmy Kimmel's apology to Abbott Elementary?
Oh, I'm sure he truly meant that apology, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get
accept.
So sorry, so sincerely sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to step on her moment. So I'll accept that one.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Karl Malone one?
That is the I'll eat the shit Ron Burgundy.
Oh, is it this
Don't
one?
act like you're not impressed.
No, that's not it. It's this.
It was if they did a Karl Malone dick prosthetic.
Don't cry, peace.
I'll eat the entire hunk of shit.
I got too many Ron Burgundys on the board.
You never enough. Yeah, no. Yeah, don't act like you're not impressed would be if they put a Karl Malone dick on if it was hanging out the bottom of his basketball shorts. That's when they should have played that.
Fantastic. Well, again, I just want to I want to remind everybody to go buy your tickets for the subreddit Surfing Live on March 9th, featuring All Apologies, featuring producer Chris, featuring Carl Hamburger. And I want to encourage everybody to like and follow. It's like, please follow us on Instagram, comment, and check out the posts. I put stuff up there every day. There's new apologies in the news every single day. So we try and cover that and then feature it on our Patreon. That is only $5 a month. New mini bonus shows every week on Patreon. And please go follow, or you like and rate and review the podcast anywhere you find podcasts. For Andy Q Public and Joe Sixpack,
stay sorry.